Alright, so after yesterday's PlayStation 5 conference, we finally have the pricing nailed down for next generation. The PlayStation 5 will run you $500, and the full version Xbox Series X will be matched at also $500. But for the very first time ever, both companies are going to be offering all digital versions at launch at slightly discounted prices. And in this video, I'm going to give you guys my top 5 reasons why you should not buy all digital, in particular why the PlayStation 5 all digital version is a ripoff. So hopefully you guys enjoy the video. Alright, so starting off at number 1, we're gonna get the most obvious one out of the way first because it has been talked to death at this point, but it's still very important to this day, is that you cannot resell your games. And I have no idea why, especially in the age of COVID and the pandemic and money is tight for everyone, you would ever want to give your rights up as a consumer. We fight so hard for these consumer rights, and when you buy an all digital version of a console, you are basically just flushing all these rights down the toilet to be able to resell your games. And I will give you an example what I did when I was in university and money was a little bit tighter and I still wanted to play the latest and greatest video game that came out. I would buy the game, single player games mostly because I tend to hold on to multiplayer games that I was really interested in. I would buy the game at launch for a full $60 plus whatever taxes you are depending on your province or state. I would take a week and a half to beat the game, and then I would just resell the game to an actual person. It requires a little bit more of a legwork in the back end, but in the long term, it's gonna save you so much money. Way more than the $100 you're gonna save upfront buying the all-digital PlayStation 5 version. I don't recommend you resell your games to EB Games. They will completely rip you off, but if you're willing to put in a little bit of work, you can easily, and I say easily, sell a newly released game a week later for about $40 to $45. There is a huge market of people who are willing to pay $40 to $45 a week later after a game has come out. And basically that means you only spend a third of the price for that game. You spend $20 to $25 to play a game brand new. You can resell it for $40 a little bit later down the road. And everyone's happy. You're happy. You put some more money in your pocket to buy a video game a little bit later down the road. And the person who's buying the discounted game is ecstatic that they didn't have to pay full price for it. So once again, try to keep your rights as a consumer to do whatever you can with the video games that you buy. All right, so coming in at number 2, you cannot trade and borrow games between a group of friends and people. So once again, back in university when things were a little bit tighter for money, what my group of friends did is that if we had like a window where a bunch of games are coming out at the same time and we kind of wanted to play all of them, what we would do is one person will be responsible for buying one single game. And that person would buy that single game, they would beat it, they get their fill of it, and then we would trade amongst our friends, so we would only ever have to buy one copy of the game. We save so much money this way. And if you don't have a group of friends and you're still willing to do a little bit of the legwork on the back end, what you can do is you can just do a swap ad on Craigslist. You can post the game that you have and post what you would willing to trade the game for straight up. Or if it's a little bit older game, maybe throw in a little bit of extra money. And once again, you still have more options. Once again, do not resell or trade into GameStop, bad idea, but being able to do a little bit more of the legwork on the back end will save you so much more money. All right, so moving on to number 3, still under the topic of saving money in the long term. When you buy an all digital console, you give up your right, I'd say even the privilege of going to your local game store and diving into the bargain bin and trying to find a gem among the mix. That option, that's no longer for you because you have an all digital console. Being able to dive into a bargain bin is one of the most funnest experience when you go to a game store, and when you find something that's really good or even okay for like $5 or $10, that's huge. That's a huge deal that you will not get with a digital console. And in general, brick and mortar stores, physical stores, give sales more often than the online stores of the PlayStation Network or the Xbox store. More sales happen in physical stores than online because they need to get you in these stores, and that's how they do it. They offer you sales. So once again, long term, you're gonna be saving so much more money going physical instead of going all digital. All right, so moving on to number 4, and this one is a huge one for me because I love love collector's editions of video games. I love buying them, I love researching them, and I love unboxing and reviewing them on the channel for you guys. And the best ones I display very proudly on my gaming shelves or in my office. And if you want a collector's edition of a video game and you have an only digital console, you basically have one option. You're gonna have to buy that game twice because collector's editions of video games come with physical copies and steelbooks. Very rarely, I don't think it's ever happened that I have seen a collector's edition of a video game with a physical copy. Sometimes they give you the option of a digital version. It's very rare though. So if you love collector's editions of video games and you don't want to buy a game twice, do not buy an all digital console. All right, so finishing off at number 5. This isn't as important because we are living in the age of streaming, Netflix and chill, video on demand. But if you are a videophile and you need to watch your movies, your videos in the best quality your eyes can possibly comprehend, you want to watch them in Ultra HD Blu-ray. So obviously as a digital version, you do not have this choice because there is no disc tray. So for an extra $100 in the case of the PlayStation 5, you can get a device that will play your Ultra HD Blu-rays. It's just a nice thing to have. Although consoles are not generally typically the best devices to be playing Blu-rays and DVDs and all that types of stuff. I just aged myself a little bit because I said DVDs there. It's still a nice option to have that you will sacrifice in the long run if you go all digital. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for my top 5 reasons why you should not buy a digital-only console. Possibly, there's more reasons to buy an Xbox Series S because it is a full $200 cheaper than the full X version. But between the digital versions and the regular version of the PlayStation 5, I highly recommend you just go with the disc version. Yes, discs are going a little bit of the way of the dinosaurs, but if you go all digital, you give up so much power and options and flexibility as a consumer. You're basically almost signing up for self-voluntary DRM in some cases. And I'll be honest, it's still nice to own a physical copy of a game because just like how people are still buying physical copies of books these days, people just like to hang on to them. They sit nicely on your shelf. When you look at them, you get those nice warm fuzzy feelings in your jellies, and they just look great. Like there's nothing sexier than a steelbook video game. It's just don't do it. Do not buy a digital version of a PlayStation 5. I beg you, do not do it. And hopefully this video will sway some of you guys' opinions because pre-orders are open now. Everything is sold out, but eventually more pre-orders for PlayStation 5 will open up. And if you're given the choice between a digital version and a disc version, I highly recommend you go with the full disc version for $100. It is $100 more. Long run though, it will save you a ton of money if you're willing to put a little bit of the legwork in. So that's it for me. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you found it informative, a thumbs up is always appreciated. And we will see you guys next time for next gen content. It's coming out in a couple months, so we're excited. So we will see you guys next time, right? As always, have a fantastic day.